Hi again. Thanks for putting up with my two-parter. But like I was saying for my case study for part two, I was talking about the routine and the discipline. The expectations there with the iPads were so clear that the students didn't even think about not following it. Um, I know this takes time and it needs to be more of a habit, but it was really proof of what consistency in every classroom can do. It can make students know that this is how we learn. This is what school's like. This is class. Yes, teachers can do different things, different subjects, different everything, but that expectation needs to be there that you don't have a choice. You don't forget your iPad at home. You don't not have it charged. You don't not want to. You don't play a game. It was really inspiring to see that that can happen. Obviously, it's going to take more time, but hopefully every year that part of teaching with these iPads will go away. All right, next. So some of the teaching strategies that I saw with Marky's classroom, like I was saying with her 9th and 10th grade, little rambunctious, cute kids. Not that the juniors and seniors aren't cute, but you know what I mean. They were doing like a race on notability. How fast can we write the answer? Boom. She had them take a quiz on their iPads and submit it where she could see it on their online backpack, which we use Schoology a little bit, but online backpack is another thing that helps students access all of their class materials. They know what they missed that day. They know where to turn assignments in. It worked really nicely. She had that completely set up. Students were very familiar with it. She also had things projected on the board, and the first person to like send in their, I don't know what app she was using. I wrote it. Actually, I think it was a Google Slide. So she had the Google Slide up there, and they were all working on the same document together. So they would all be adding their answers to, like, give me 5 different ways to say whatever. And then they would all add a different, okay, like they're adding together. It was so cool to see the class collaborating like that and for it to project in the front. What else did she do? She had them taking notes and reading on the PDFs on Notability, and I think she used Cabinet as well. She also gave them really, for both 10th and 11th, or 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th, all her students, she gave really cool extra credit opportunities. Some people don't believe in extra credit. The things that she was having them do were awesome. So she gave all of these, like, okay, you could create a commercial in Spanish and a video and post it here and do this. Or you could make, I don't know, there were a million tech options, all with their iPads, that they could do that they were actually excited about. So it's not just like jumping through a hoop for more points. They would actually have some deep learning and a lot of effort needing to go in. She also left it very open-ended. So if there's any other ideas on their iPad of a project they wanted to create, she would definitely allow them to do that. The 10th and 11th, or the 11th and 12th graders were reading a novel in Spanish, and what she had them do was pull up Google Earth on their iPads, and she would show them like where to drop their pin so they could see actual places from the novel. It was fiction, but it was historical fiction, so there were still like monuments and things in place that were brought up in this book, and they love that because you can go, it zooms in, it clears it up for you, and then you can go to Street View and it's like you're walking there. That was so cool that I would love to do that with one of my novels that we read in my English class. That was really fun. The kids loved it. That was for the older kids, and they were super into it. Guided notes as they read. They took notes on Notability, and then she had questions on a PDF. So they could pull up the PDF and they would just answer them on Notability with like the marker app. I hope you know what Notability is. It's just like Cabinet where you can take notes with your finger, with your stylus, you can type, and then it saves them all as PDF. So you can incorporate a PDF like an article or like the question she had, and then you can write and take notes right on the PDF. Pretty awesome. I'm sure you know, but just in case. So those are some of the teaching strategies and apps that she used that were awesome. There's a quiz on there, like I said. Yep, so definitely got some inspiration for some new things. I will for sure be using Google Earth. Notability quiz where they're, I would love to do that with my 9th grade for vocab. Who can flip it around first with the right answer written on their iPad screen. I don't know why I haven't thought of that before. So it was just nice to like take the pressure off and watch someone else do these things. I could have thought of them, but it's so nice to see them work in front of you. So I definitely have some new things in my docket that I will be using with my students. So, lingering questions. Um, this is a hard one for me because, dealing with such diverse population from the kids at Cretan, I'm not assuming anything about their lives, but there's just a whole different world that the Cretan kids are dealing with and my students. There are things that would never come up in a Cretan kid's life to deal with. Maybe some of them that come up for my students to cross over every day. And I'm hoping that creating these expectations and these routines will eliminate any of that extra stuff that comes into their lives that makes them maybe not so successful in the classroom. I wonder how much of how well this is all working has to do with parents and resources and stuff like that at Cretan that we just don't have at my school. So I hate even asking that. I believe that we can be as successful with these iPads as these private students can be. I think it might take a little longer to establish these rules and norms and boundaries, especially when we have a lot of attendance issues. Kids at Cretan are not everybody, but consistently present. I would love that at my school, but it's just the reality of it. So it's going to take a little longer. So I need to not put any pressure on comparing. And I guess my question is just, how will this look different with my demographic of students and my school with our resources? It's something that I want to answer fairly and honestly. And I'm hoping that our transition into these iPads goes as well as they did at Cretan. There's no reason why it shouldn't. If all the teachers can be on board and having consistency in the classroom and making the expectations very clear for how these iPads will be used, it'll be successful. It's going to be a long road to get there, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. Obviously, this whole class we've talked about why it's worth it, why it's effective. So we just have to work to get there. Speaking of what we've done in class, some connections to the course content that I picked up was, I forgot to mention that they have a student tech support group, just like we do at Johnson, and just like our interviewer did when he came from, with our expert interview, we all talked about how well student-led support groups are working. And when I was talking to some of the students, there was a couple students in each class that were on their support group that they do a lot with. And when I was talking to Mona and Mr. Engler, the two administrators, they were also talking about how awesome that is to see their students thrive in that leadership role and really, spread insight and wisdom to the teachers about how to use these effectively and give a nice student perspective. I also saw a lot of constructivist learning. The projects that Marky was going over with the extra credit class, for her classes, it was all show us what you learn. Create whatever you'd like to show me that you learned this, that you can make up these points, that you've come a long way, that you've actually conquered these standards and conquered these skills. In whatever way that she wanted. She presented options, but it was still their choice to present what they had learned and create something out of that. And the emphasis on these really successful professional development time that they spent at Cretan goes back to a lot of the articles that we read and a lot of the discussions that we've had in this class about how without PD and without supportive, consistent PD from each other, this just will not work. It sounds like they do a lot of peer modeling, which is something that I wrote about in one of our responses about how effective that is, instead of it feeling always like it's coming from the top down, which there's no problem with that, but still there are its benefits to being, to collaborating with your peers and feeling like you're all on the same team and creating a common goal and sharing things with each other. So it sounds like that's how they run their professional development at Cretan as well. Cretan-Durham Hall, I should say. So those three things stuck out to me the most, the things that we have learned from this course, and focus on, obviously, effective one-to-one teaching. I saw it all day. It inspired me. It worried me about my students a little and how we're doing compared to how we could be doing. But inevitably, it just made me realize that I need to set up routine. I need to work with professional development to make sure that my fellow teachers are doing the same so that our students can get there faster, can get this norm phase faster. I learned, or I saw firsthand, constructivist learning succeeding. When I was walking around the other classes, there's some adventure learning going on. Science was using them in a really cool way. And I have seen the success of professional development. So, I am looking forward to time passing, if that makes sense at all, so that we can catch up. I know my school might take longer, might take faster than I think, but I don't think that how things were run at Cretan is out of the question for how things can be run and succeed at Johnson. We'll get there. It's going to take consistency, hard work, but I'm excited because I did see this working. I did see this as not a passing thing. It was a really great opportunity to get out in another school, and I'm hoping to present some ideas for professional development to my administrators for next year, especially during opening week. There's always room for some of us to take the stage there, and I'd like to kind of refer back to what I've seen at Cretan-Durham Hall and what I've learned about successful PD from this class and bring it home to Johnson. Thank you.